Hi everyone, quick update. The version 0.10.0 of the Deadlock Manager is out. I know you waited quite some time for this update, and we have a couple of features that we're really excited to introduce to you. But first of all, have a new look. So we updated the Deadlock Manager layout a bit to match sort of all the new features that we want to bake in, and that also allows us to get more space and more screens. Comes with a lot of new features that we've been working on in the last few months, some of which are still hidden technically from most users, but you can easily opt in, and I'll walk you through that. So as usual, to download the latest version of the mod manager, you can either double click the check for updates button at the bottom of your mod manager, or you can head out to the download manager website and then download the latest version here. Or if you'd like, you can go to GitHub, and then on the release section, there will be a new release, the 0.10, and you can download that. There's a list of files, one for each OS/platform. For most Windows users, you can just download the setup.exe, and make sure that whenever you download the mod manager manually through the releases, whether it's on the website or on the GitHub, to always use the same installation type. So in this case, if you've downloaded that using the setup.exe, use that. If you download it using the MSI installer, use that this time as well. That makes sure that it doesn't install two different versions of the mod manager, and it actually updates the existing installation that you have. Going back to the mod manager, we have a new layout. You'll see that now we separated the navigation into two sections, a general and a mod section. And there will be more sections in the future that we'll add, some of which are already there, but just hidden. Of course, we won't have this debug page. This is just for me locally when I'm working on the mod manager to add new things to it. But you'll notice that we have on the dashboard page a couple of cards. So these are just some quick informational cards that introduce some of the popular mods or the latest mods that we released that you can go ahead and check out. If you click on any of these, it should redirect you to the appropriate mod page. Other than that, this is a quick excerpt of the changelogs. So this is a mod you usually get when you open the mod manager for the first time after updating the version, and it gives you a list of updates. But now we made it more permanent a bit on the dashboard page, so you can always refer back to what was released in the latest mod manager update. There's a new announcement section. It's going to be used as a way for us to communicate with you guys that are using the mod manager, but that are not necessarily on our Discord, to announce things like downtimes, because, for example, in the last few months, there have been some issues on Game Banana's side, and Game Banana power most of our mod management downloads. And so it's a way for us to communicate with you and let you know when things are happening, or if there are new things that we're pushing to the mod manager that are coming out soon. Up top, you'll see that it still says default profile, and I'll show you in a few minutes how you can toggle the profile management feature, which is part of this update. And then you have the usual launch without mods, so launch vanilla and launch modded. And there's a new sign-in button. So why do you need an account to use a mod manager that's purely local? Well, you don't need it, technically. You could use the mod manager without making an account, without signing in, and it would work perfectly fine. The only reason we've added stuff like user authentication is mainly for us as core contributors to be able to test out features without necessarily having them be open to all users of the mod manager. So we want to be able to ship stuff to the mod manager, make more frequent releases and not 1 per month or 2 months releases, but also be able to hide some of those work in progress features from users so they don't end up messing up their local installation of the mod manager. So if you click on the sign in button, that should redirect you to the website. And I'm already logged in on the website, so it just redirects me directly as I'm signed out as Starix. But you should also see that on the website there's a small little user icon, and some of you already made accounts. Although we didn't really ask you to, or we didn't actually inform you that it was possible, which is cool, I guess. But it might have led to some confusion on why do I need a freaking mod manager or mod manager with an account. So going back to this, you'll notice here that this changed. So I see now there's a change profile button that has profiles. Let me delete this. You're not supposed to see it. Then there's a share profile button. So both of these are features we've been working on that were a bit complicated to add, if I'm honest. But they will be hidden by default. So let me replicate that for you guys. So let me toggle these off. And boom, default view, default profile. So you have your usual downloads list. This is the same as before. We tried to fix the 0 bytes downloads for some of the mods. This will work for new downloads, but for previous downloads, for example, if I download and close the mod manager and then open it up again, we don't save that type of data. We don't think it's necessary. So let's just show up 0 here. But you can see here if there are any active downloads that are going on. Then you have the settings pane. So launch options is still the same. We still have the new health bars option that's shipped by default, and we'll probably add new things if we discover them. But it's also, you've had this before. I don't know if you've been using it, but I think the new health bars look much better than the default ones. Game section, we haven't changed much. So you can set the gamepad. You can do the game configuration. You can check if your local game info.gi. So this file, this is the main files that basically tells the game, hey, look at this folder for add-ons to run when you run the game. And by default, it doesn't include the add-ons subfolder, which is what we use to add mods to the game. By modifying the game info, we tell the game, hey, load files from this folder. And then, so when you launch modded, what we do as the mod manager is a bit similar to this. So we go into your game info.gi, we look for this path, search paths, and we add this to the /add-ons. And now with the new profiles feature, we also add a couple of other things to make sure that we only load mods that are enabled in a specific profile. I'll spare you the details for now. Application, it's still the same. There are 2 new things on this page. There's a developer mode you can enable, and there's a Matchdata ingest tool. The Matchdata ingest tool is a tool that's built by the Deadlock API guys, and it's used to scan for local match data. So whenever you replay a match on inside the game, it basically downloads the match data, and that data is what we use to get stats like player stats and so on. That's one of the websites that powers Stats Locker, if you're familiar with it, to give you stats about your rank and so on. Now, issue is Valve does not provide a standard API that can be used to get this match data. So the way the guys behind the Deadlock API have been doing it was just by ingesting locally the match data and then uploading it to the server, and that's being used to populate all the information. So you'll notice that here on Stats Locker, they also have a community update asking, hey, please upload your match data, help us do that, and here's how you can do it, and so on. We've integrated one of the tools, which is the Ingest tool, to actually do that with the mod manager. So now if you have the mod manager, you can decide to help add this data. It's not personal data, it's not private data, it's mostly Deadlock match data. And the source code for all of this is open. You can literally go and check the pull requests and check the closed ones, and you'll see a couple of them that are related to the Ingest tool. So you can clearly see what they're uploading, what's doing exactly. But I think this is pretty nice. I've been struggling to get my stats and match stats and so on, and I think this is a nice way to do it. What the Ingest tool does is basically what's described on this page. Is basically we upload these cache files into the website, and then they get processed to get match salts, and those are used to get the matches and to get the information for each match and stuff like this, basically. So yeah, you can, it's enabled by default, but if you say, no, I don't want to participate in this, I don't want none of my Deadlock match data out there on the public, you can disable it. That's completely fine. But just know, by contributing to this, you also help out the other 11 people that were in the match with you to have their match data up to date on the website. So I highly encourage that you keep it enabled. Developer mode, That's been a feature requested by mod creators, and it's mostly for them to be able to test out and manage their mods locally. So usually when you're working on a mod, you build the VPK, create a VPK file to distribute that mod, and then you install that locally, or run the game with it to test it out, and so on. So now what we've allowed you to do is that for a given mod, if you have developer mode enabled, you can go in and hot swap the VPK file for that mod. So if, let's say I'm working on the CalCurve and Dexa mod, I can make a new version, just drag it here. It will replace automatically the one that's already installed without having to like delete this mod, add a new mod, and upload in the file again. We still have a bunch of features that we want to ship on the mod manager to help mod creators create mods more easily and distribute them. And that will be something will be added on this page, which is currently empty. So that's the only developer tool feature that you'll see if you enable the developer tools toggle. Moving on, team stuff. So this is all things you know. Oh, tools. So usually when we ask you guys, we have issues with the mod manager, we ask you guys, hey, what kind of issues have you been having? Can you open the mods folder? For the most experienced users, they know exactly what we mean by that. But if you don't know, inside, if you click the open mods folder, it will open a subfolder inside your game, so add-ons. And this is where all your VPK files, aka the mod files you installed, are added. This is what we tell the game to load whenever you load the game and mod it. We added a couple of buttons. I mean, they were already there for quite a while, but now we have a shortcut here and also on the file page here. And there's even a Control-M shortcut that will open the mods folder. And then the classic game folder that you can also open using this. So just a bit of shortcuts. And we have backups. This is something we've added for us because it's often when we work with the mod manager and different versions and so on, install mods, things can go wrong. And instead of having to re-download everything manually every time, you can create backups. And what that basically do is it creates a folder called add-on backups, and it has a copy basically of all the add-ons that you have. Of course, this will take up space in your hard drive. So this is 2 gigs of add-ons. But the nice thing about this and the nice thing about using a folder is that if you want to get rid of the mod manager at some point, or if something goes wrong, you can just come in, copy all the mods here, go back to your add-ons folder and paste them again. And there you go, you have your mods again. So I highly recommend you take backups from time to time. The restore button should do exactly the same thing. And you can even delete backups if you don't want to use them anymore. But I think this is pretty handy, especially if you play a lot with the mod manager and want to try out a bunch of mods that without necessarily losing the set of mods that you always use when you play. And now, if you're not logged in, click on experimental, you see that you need to be logged in. And this is basically to determine which feature flags, aka the little toggles that we use to show and hide certain features from the UI. We need you to be logged in so we can know which ones you've toggled on and off. And this is not something we can necessarily store locally. We want to link it to a user ID. And the user information we have about you is just your Steam name and your Steam image and the email you provide us when you sign up on the website. I forgot to mention that, but to sign up, click on sign in on the website. You currently can't sign up using an email password. You have to use either Steam or GitHub. I recommend Steam. Give us an email and then continue with Steam. Sign in, and that's done. The reason we ask for an email is because Steam by default will not provide us with an email, so there's no way for us to determine if you have a unique profile, and we use email as our unique identifier. You could argue that we could use something else, but I think the email is a bit necessary for some of the features will be added in the future. And I think it's pretty standard for websites that you would log in with an email address. So again, let's sign in. It's usually seamless. If you do it the first time, it will pop up and say, do you want to open the mod manager to handle that URL? It should work. If you use the one-click functionality from Game Banana, that should already work out of the box. So here you'll see a couple of features that we've been working on, but that are currently hidden in your UI. The main ones that I would like you to try is the profile management. So I would enable that. And the share profile functionality. So it would enable that as well. So the download mirroring, This is a service we've been building, but that's not completely stable. And it basically, instead of downloading the mod files directly from Game Banana, we download them through a mirror of ours. So if you're one of the users that are in one of those regions where Game Banana is a bit blocked and you have to use a VPN to go around it, or if you get throttled by Game Banana and your download speeds are abysmally slow, enable this for a bit, and then so the first time you download, we'll serve you the file, and we'll also download it into our mirror. And then the next time you download that, or someone else downloads that, you download it directly from the mirror, which should have faster download speeds by default. We don't throttle it at the moment, though I will be monitoring the traffic usage to see if we need to, and it should also be cached, so and updated every hour because we update mods every hour, so should be fine for the most part. But you can opt in or not to use it. So profile management. Wow, how does that work? Well, as in any and every mod manager out there, you can create profiles. The default profile is the default one, and the way we separate profiles, that sentence I just said it makes no sense. Anyway, let me delete this. So every mod that's on your add-ons folder, this will belong to your default profile. And you can see here the number of mods they have enabled. You can see even the lists of mods they have enabled in that profile. So that's active by default. You can try and change the description, but you can change the name. And so that's the default. If you want to create a new profile, you can do so by just creating a new profile, give it a name, profile 2. Create it, and that's it. And then if you switch to it, that will have 0 mods, so none of the mods will be installed that you've had. And the way it works out here is that it creates a new subfolder inside your add-ons called with the profile name, profile 2, and that's where all the new mods you download will be downloaded. So if, let's say, we go to the mod store, let's get one of these mods. Let's get the PP sol container, download mod, download it. Yeah, I also changed the button that was here to show add actual toggle, so you can actually differentiate if a mod is downloaded or not. So you see here that the new mod is downloaded here, and it's not downloaded in the add-ons folder. And the way we do it is that when you enable a profile, so profile 2, is that we tell the game, hey, if you try to load the mods, load them from this folder. So if I open this again, you'll see that we say game, load from Citadel add-on / profile 2. That's how we tell the game, hey, these are the mods that you need to load. The nice thing about this is that if you decide that you don't want to use the mod manager, you still have the folders here in your side, game installation, and you can share around if you don't want to use our functionalities. If I want to share my profile, so remember, it currently only has this sol container mod, I can click the share profile button. That will give you a code. So if you're a user of Thunderstorm Mod Manager, you're familiar with this. You can copy the code, share it with your friends, and then when your friends wants to download this mod, you can just come in to the profile management, do import profile, paste the profile code, and import. And it will tell you these are the mods that are in that mod, in that profile, and you can say, okay, create a new profile. So that will create a new profile that's imported that has that mod and download the mods. This was a bit fast because they only had one mod, but if you have like 50 mods or 99 mods, that will take a bit of time to download. And for mods that have multiple variations, we try to take the same variation as the one that was in the original profile we imported. So if you download the Yamato mod, for example, the black variation, if you import the mod, we will also try to download the black variation. Just know that sometimes some of the downloads fail, mainly because either the file was already changed and it was an old version of the mod that was downloaded in the initial profile and we can't find it anymore. Some of the mods will fail. So it's not 100% the exact same mod, but it should work the 99% cases, more like 95%. But that's why we didn't really open it to everyone to use, and we have it hidden behind the feature because we want to gather feedback and get people to use it and test it. And so I imported a new profile. I can enable it, and you'll see that it has this. And if I want to go back to my initial mod, initial profile, I can just enable it, and so on. You'll notice here on the newly renamed mods library, we have a new alert that says unrecognized VPK files found. And it says that, yeah, these files are in your add-ons folder and not part of the mods list. This is particularly useful because sometimes when you upgrade versions of the mod manager, you'll see that you have 0 mods. And I'll replicate that by doing this. Come in here and see, okay, where the fuck are my mods? Well, you didn't have this in the past, so you wouldn't know. You just see 0 mods and like, what? But I do have mods in my folder. Where are they? Well, we would usually tell you, would usually come into our Discord and we tell you, hey, just use the analyze local add-ons functionality, and that will scan the existing mods that you already have in the add-ons folder, and we'll add them back to the mod manager. So if I click this, it should take a couple of minutes to run, but it will basically scan every VPK file that's on the add-ons folder and then check if we know which mod that is, and if we know, we will add it to your library. There will be, of course, mods that we don't really recognize, either because they're too old or they're too new that we didn't index them yet. So we won't know them. If you know what file that is, please go ahead and add it as a local mod, and I'll show you in a few minutes how that works. Or what we could also do is go on the website, go into Tools, VPK Analyzer, take your VPK file that you don't know which mod that is, and drag it on here. And that will try to guess which mod that is. I'll just tell you this is what it modifies. In this case, we know it's the Balatro shop theme mod because we matched it. That sometimes if we don't recognize it, will tell you, okay, you'll see the model name, say maybe Bebop here, and you're like, oh, this is a Bebop skin. I know exactly which Bebop skin it is. So after the analysis is done, you have this window that tells you, okay, identified 57, but there are 5 unknowns that we don't recognize. And I could look at this and say, this is a viscous mod. It just doesn't recognize it. And I can add it to my library and say, viscous mod. And I can give it a picture and so on. Then I can add it. So that's even though it's not a mod that we recognize, or we couldn't find on Game Banana, you can tell exactly which mod that is. And you can do the same for the others. So once that's done, you'll see that, okay, I have all my add-ons detected and added. It will work for most mods. You see here, there's the viscous mod that we added locally. But there will be always some files that we don't recognize, and the alert will stay here. You can dismiss it if you'd like. Or you can just remove those mods if you don't think you need them, or if you think they're just artifacts from an old mods that you've downloaded and so on. This is also useful when you first launch the mod manager the first time and you've never used it before, but you still have mods on it. You can click the analyze local add-ons button and then scan all the local files that you have and add them to the mod manager. I think that's nice. Again, similarly, I could share this profile with people and then copy it, send it to people, and they can download all the mods. Of course, they will not be able to download the local mods, because yeah, we can't download them from your service, but we will add a way for you to publish mods on the Deadlock Mod Manager website, and then we can use that to serve mods to people as well. We added a small shortcut button that will open the mods folder out here, so you don't have to go to settings, tools, and then click the button. You can just do it from here. Then you have the usual, we cleaned up a bit some of the filters, some of the navigation. We made this a bit faster than it was. We made it bigger cards, and it scales with your window. So smaller as it gets, it shows less. So some of the top stuff is not really responsive, but I doubt anyone is going to use the mod manager like this. But it's a bit more responsive. And I think, yeah, that's it for this update. There will be more updates in the future. We are working on a couple of changes on the main website, mainly to add browsing mods and so on directly from the website, and you can even download mods from the website using either the mod manager or to download them locally. You can decide which version and so on. We're not really trying to copy what Game Banana does. We still want to use Game Banana as our main provider. This will mostly be for mod publishers to be able to add mods in a specific format that we'll want to introduce in a couple of weeks. So we can have more data than just a VPK file instead of a zip file uploaded, and we can add more information about the mod, so we can make the integration with the mod manager better and mostly improve the overall ecosystem of modding for Deadlock. I think that could be great. So we have to do the work for it. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to open bug reports on our Discord server, or to, if I have it here, yeah, open bug reports. If you have issues, if you want to report mods, you can do that through the UI. If you really need help, just post a message in the AI help, and then either the bot, which we've disabled lately, or us will try to help you as soon as we can. But please do first go to the documentation website. It's pretty extensive, though it's missing some of the new features. Please check the troubleshooting guide for common errors. Usually, if your error is something we've seen before, it should be documented on here, and you should be able to fix it from here. Another thing that I didn't go over and that we've introduced is plugins. And that's mainly because I forgot to enable it, which I'll do right now. So plugin, show plugins. Let me expose this as well. I go back to settings, experimental. There's a show plugins section. And this is new. There's some new plugins we've added. An example one is you can add a custom background to the mod manager, and I can enable it, and I can grab an image from somewhere. Let me get this one. I can add this one. You can add a custom background. We have other plugins that do other things, like Discord rich presence, which you can enable as well, and that will show up a status on Discord that says, hey, I'm using the Deadlock Mod Manager. And there are other mods that we've added, or not mostly, Skeptic has added. He built most of these. And yeah, of course, there's a full documentation on the docs website about plugin documentation and how you can create plugins. So this is a way for us to allow other developers that don't want to necessarily contribute to the mod manager itself, but want to build customizations around it. So you can build it as a plugin and do whatever you want to do, basically. So check this out if you're a developer. And as always, check out the GitHub repo. If you have any doubts or questions about how we do things, how we manage data and so on, we're completely open. Everything is open out there on the repo. So that's it for this update. I will try my best with my non-existent skills of editing to make it as short as possible. But I hope you like it and that you actually use it. Enjoy. Bye.